this is Amy with Flower Moxie. I'm really excited about this video. I'm gonna make a cascade bouquet using baby's breath and just white flowers, and I'm gonna throw an orchid in at the end. But I did wanna say, for this tutorial, I'm using a faux white orchid. This is something I got in Michael's. It's very inexpensive, kind of wired so you can curve it. If you want to use a fresh Phalaenopsis orchid, then you're gonna want to buy it potted. We don't sell the Phalaenopsis variety because it doesn't ship well. When you buy it from wholesale, they generally just sell it to you in the pot. And as a florist, when I would pull these orchids into my arrangements, I would have the pots, and then the day before I cut the orchid short, throw it into my bouquet, you know, obviously put it in water like you would any fresh flower, and it works great. So I love these. You can often find them at Sam's Club, Costco, Trader Joe's always has them. My neighborhood Walmart often carries them. So they're about $15 to $20. So this is my one from home. I usually buy them like the week before. And when I shop for them, I look for ones that still have some half closed buds, because I know that those, the ones that are blown out haven't been blown out for a super long time. So that's kind of how I shop for them. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I've got 2 bunches of baby's breath here, and we're going to create that foam-free cascade like I did in that other tutorial, but this should be a lot easier. Baby's breath can sometimes be a little bit tricky to work with because it gets tangled up in itself so easily, but you just kind of have to snip the stems apart as you go. You're gonna have pieces like this that get broken. You have to snip those off. So it's just part of it. Okay, so I've got a mirror right here, and that helps me watch and see what it looks like as I build it. That's the best vantage point when you're building a bridal bouquet, especially when it comes to a cascade, because you're so up close to it. So basically, I'm going to just start layering this in. It's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. It's gonna have a little bit more of a wild feel, which I like. And I'm actually using you guys as guinea pigs, or this tutorial is a test run for me. My cousin is getting married, so I'm coming out of the woodwork, out of retiring from doing weddings. Can you hear me, those snips? Start that over. So this bouquet is actually a test run for my cousin's wedding. She's getting married in about 9 months, and she wanted a cascade bouquet with baby's breath. And so I was like, I've actually never done that. So I gotta say that baby's breath is not like my go-to as a florist. I think that like flashbacks from the 80s come back when they would mix baby's breath with leather leaf and roses, and it would be just like a total vibe that I did not want to have as my style, but I have really come around to it when it's, you know, utilized in certain ways. So I'm kind of forming that top, and I'm slightly working on the cascade, but mainly I'm trying to get this shape right here, and then we're gonna backfill with our flowers. So this is way easier than building a foam-free cascade from scratch. Not that that's like extremely hard, but if you watch the video, it does take a little bit more time, and that's okay. So this is looking really nice and airy and dainty. I hope I don't hate it. So as you remember, when we are building a cascade foam-free bouquet, a lot of it is the way that you hold it and the fact that we're gonna cut these stems really, really short at the end. So I'm kind of holding it like this so I can see how it's trailing down. So now I'm gonna start backfilling with some of my flowers. I've chosen to do all white flowers because I wanted like this certain look. I kind of feel like if I mixed in a lot of colors, it might take it in that weird 80s direction. So that's why I was like, let's just keep it all cream. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on the top. I feel like I do need a little bit more baby's breath to round this out, and then I'm gonna thread in these flowers. See how it's kind of like tangly? Just it's a little bit trickier to work with. Let's pull this in a tighter cluster and we're gonna lay it down. See how I have kind of this nice top and I can start layering in those flowers. Okay. And what I have is some cream Majolica spray roses. They are a little bit warm, they are a little bit blushy, but I think that will be nice. So I'm looking in the mirror right here at my placement, and I've got some carnations, some cushion flower, Lisianthus ranunculus, these cream spray roses. And so I'm threading this in right now and I'm putting them at different planes. I don't want to just cluster them all right here because that won't make the bouquet flow visually. Lisianthus, thin-stemmed items, mini carnations, those work really well. So one thing I'm paying attention to is I don't want to put a lot of torque on these stems. So I'm building it in a slight spiral, kind of like I did in that other tutorial. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. So if I were to come in and place this here and grab a hold of this stem, there is going to be a lot of pressure on this stem. And what will happen is it will break on you. But if I bring this in and I pull it at an angle, almost like a spiral, so if it's upright, that is kind of spirally, we don't have that pressure on this stem. So my point of intersection, my handle where I'm gonna tape it off or rubber band it off, I'm not putting undue pressure on this stem. So I'm gonna bring this in a little bit. So I'm gonna just kind of thread this in, grab it with my hand and see where it's at. This is looking ethereal as shit. I'm liking it. I try not to be snobby when it comes to flowers. Like, I try to be really open-minded. But when she's like, I'm thinking all baby's breath, I was like, okay, I just want it to look a certain way. Can't say I love this chrysanthemum, or this cushion flower, just right up front. I think I want to put that guy off to the side. And so I'm still coming in and layering a little bit of baby's breath, but now I want to concentrate on bringing that cascade down a little bit. Come on. Okay, so just like before, I'm gonna take it in the bottom, and like I just explained, I'm not gonna just put it straight on the bottom because that will create pressure. So I will draw it up and at an angle. And I'm just bringing this cascade down a little bit. This is like a little bit of a wonky bit. For a bridal bouquet, I have 2 bunches here, but when I do my cousin's wedding, I'm probably gonna allow for 3 bunches of baby's breath just to have a little bit of extra. So for your bridal bouquet, go ahead and get 3. You probably won't use it all, but you have to cut it apart a bit, so. Ooh, I like this. That's a really nice cascade. Okay, I'm pretty happy where the cascade is, and I'm just gonna make the top prettier. Bring in a few more flowers. I don't think that it needs much. This isn't really a floral heavy bouquet. I feel like adding a lot of flowers, you're gonna take away from the overall feeling of this arrangement. And I forgot about these ranunculus. So we'll place them on top. So pretty. And just so you know, I've wired most of these white ranunculus. Some of them were, let's see, yeah, this one's been wired. If you do not have interest in wiring a ranunculus, then make sure you don't buy them. Go with Lisianthus instead. Sometimes we get emails and people are like, my ranunculus is curved. It's like, oh yeah, just wire them like our video shows. And they're like, I don't want to. And it's like, well, I can't help you because this is what they do. So I want those like pretties up top. I don't know if I'm feeling this at all. I don't think I like the spiky shape of that, so I'm gonna bring in a carnation. It wasn't bad, just not my personal preference. I'm crossing it over the top. See what we have here? Okay, so this is what she's gonna see, and I want to zhuzh that up a little bit more. So I'm bringing it really close to the base of the handle. I'm gonna pull that guy off. So I can layer in a few pieces, really perfect that top, and just know we're gonna cut it so short by the time it's all said and done. Okay, I feel like maybe I have a hole, I can bring something in here. I don't want it too visually weighty. So what I mean by that is this cushion flower has about 5 petals. So if I put that down there, see how that's kind of visually heavy? That's what I mean when I use those words. So I think this Lisianthus, it's not so visually weighty. It has a long thin stem, which is gonna make it easier to drive it through this rat's nest of baby's breath, and I've brought it down a little bit. And at this point, I just kind of hold things, look in the mirror. And I think this is really nice and soft. Okay. So when do we add the orchid? Do we need the orchid? So if I was doing this for a bride, I would, use a fresh one. If you can't find a fresh, if you're nervous about working with the real Phalaenopsis, then you can easily use a faux one. They have really nice real touch ones. This one's just silk. And let's see what this looks like. I feel that you would only need 1 to 2. I feel like a little bit goes a long way with this. I like it. I'm gonna bring a little bit more baby's breath kind of on the, well, maybe not. So my only complaint about this is that this is pretty white, and I would say the real Phalaenopsis is very white. I don't see it in a cream. A lot of flowers are not a stark white. They're more of a variation of a cream. And so when you see a true white against the cream, you can kind of see the difference. I think it's really pretty. But I did like it without it too. Okay, so I feel like I'm at a stopping point, and the question is, how do we finish it off? I feel like this piece is a bit wonky. A lot of times you can just adjust things with your hands. Okay, so I think I can use a zip tie on this one. You can always use a rubber band, you can always use stem tape, waterproof floral tape. But this isn't going to put undue pressure on the stems. It has like a really nice binding point. And we're gonna cut this short. So this is fairly short. This is, once I got finished building it, I would probably cut it about this short. I would not put the ribbon on until I got to the venue because it's only gonna get wet. So If I just built this the day before a wedding, I would cut it about this length. Obviously, I would put more water in this vase, and I would make sure it's like supported and propped up. So this is how you're gonna keep this guy hydrated. So the day of the wedding, once you get to the venue, I would probably even cut it a little bit shorter, and then I would finish it out with some ribbon. So because it's Cascade, I'll show you how I do this. Kind of hang it off the table. Because it's Cascade, I don't really think this calls for drapey ribbon. If that's your preference, then go for it. But for Cascade, I usually make the ribbon just a classic wrap. So I have some double-faced ivory ribbon, which is really nice. I'm going to just kind of hold it with my finger, wrap it around a few times. And again, every time I thought I was saving time, every single time, I would just say, okay, I'm just gonna have a little water in the vase, I won't get it wet, and I would get to the venue and the ribbon was like damp. So that's why I just learned to wait. It doesn't take me that long. And sometimes I pre-cut my ribbon and I put them all in Ziploc bags. And that's just a way to get ahead. Like as a wedding florist, you know, you only have so much time, so you're trying to get like any edge or time-saving trick you can. So this is probably what I would do. And then I would cut it a bit shorter, hand it off to my bride or groom, and I would say, okay, we're gonna hold this at an angle. This got a bit, there we go. So you'd probably have to adjust that. I kind of feel like I need some more baby's breath on that side. So then you talk to her about how to hold it. And she's gonna have to hold it instead of in this traditional way, she's gonna have to hold it kind of facing forward. Another way that she can hold it is kind of like a baby and let it spill off. So if you have any questions, then leave them in the comments below. If this video helped you in any way, it very much helps us if you like or subscribe, because it allows us to create more videos. If you have any questions, any requests, then feel free to let us know, and thank you so much.